So I'm going to take you through my homemade, well, home converted ride-on lawnmower. It's not 100% done yet, there's still things I need to change, still things I need to do. So I am running at the moment some old 36 volt lithium cells. I'll just take the, I haven't bolted the lid on yet. Anyway, so go through, I'm running, you can see all the batteries, they're all individually BMS'd. There's 10 of them, they're 6.6 amp hours, so that's 66 amp hour at 36 volts. So the maths is it running at 1.5 kilowatts, 2 kilowatts, that should give me an hour and 20 minutes of runtime, which is plenty enough to do the acre of land that we have here that needs to be mowed. So yeah, she seems to cope very well. Obviously still sort of test phase, still a few things I need to change, but other than that, you know, for the simplicity it works really well. So the drive for the blades is done by chain at the moment. This isn't ideal, to be honest, and it is just tack welded on, and I'm not going to lie, I haven't spent too much time doing it. The reason for it not being ideal is that these motors, they run absolutely flat out all the time. I have had one actually smoke up on me, so whether that was a defective motor or quite what, I'm not sure, but the sellers very kindly gave me a warranty repair on it. So hopefully, you know, we shall see how long they last. I'm not anticipating them to last too long, to be honest. I'm pretty sure that they know that they're going to smoke up and go wrong. Interestingly, it's actually this one that was getting very warm that smoked up last time, and yeah, I don't know whether they are meant to be reversible, but yeah, obviously that one is running on reverse. One blade one runs way, one runs the other, but it's just a little bit of a noisy system. I've given it a tensioner, so it should take some of the, you know, some of the slack out of the chain. But yeah, it's just still a little bit of a noisy system. I'm just wondering whether to replace these with proper brushless motors. To be fair, I might do, considering the cost of a new electric powered ride-on lawnmower. Down here we have got the existing, I've just been mowing, gets everywhere this stuff does. I've got the existing transmission from the petrol gearbox here. So basically what I've done is I've just made this very crude, but it seems to work pretty well, it's pretty rock solid, sort of mount up for the motor, and then we're going through what was an old washing machine rubber coupler. So I've just made that up using a bit of scrap sheet plate that I had, and that directly drives the gearbox. So the gearbox is in 3rd gear at the moment, which seems to actually work really well. The controller is just a very simple pulse width modulation controller, all inside that box, which I've blown just to try and keep it cool, just so that you know, nothing gets too warm inside. And the control for it is actually pretty funky. So I'm using the original, what was the brake and the clutch from the petrol engine, but now what I've done here is I've converted it to push. Try and focus in, you know, to push this sliding fader that goes for, you know, it's 100k. That's what the PWM wants. Now it's extremely simple, but you know, it's also extremely effective. Now, yeah, someone's going to say, oh, you're going to get dust and grass and everything in that slider. Yeah, you probably will, but at £1 each or whatever they are, you know, I'll just replace it. So how does she run? Well, runs actually fine. We'll leave the bonnet off just because I don't need to. So what we have up here is we've got a display. I'll try and zoom in. It's very bright today for once, so it makes a difference. That display is just a typical thing I bought off Amazon. Tells me what power is going on. So at the moment we're pulling 15 watts, probably just for the fan. And we're at 36.7 volts. I've just gone, as I say, I've just mown the lawn, so it's taking a little bit of power out of the battery, but you know, we should be about half power. So all we is we have a little front and, well, forward and reverse switch. So we just simply put it into forward, push down, we're away. So that's flat out. But you know, it's fast enough. If I really wanted to, I could change the gear ratio on it, put it in 5th gear, and go from there. So that's the that's the throttle. Obviously, it's as quick as it is in reverse as it is I might change the switch, might make it a little easier, but it's very easy just to shuttle it between forward and reverse when you're sort of doing the finite little tricky bits. So the blades are quite simply under one of these aircraft style, toggle switches. There you go. So all I do is it's simply wired up to a big contactor. Quite a lot of power. I have to sort of be a bit louder for you now, but yeah, we're just discharge us out the back. Absolutely fine. So yeah, you can see it's a bit noisy. That's probably the chains that aren't quite aligned. As I say, this isn't a fine piece of workmanship done in a lab. It's just me and a welder having a crack at it, really. So yeah, it's got a bit to go, but compared to the cost of buying a brand new one off the shelf, it's quite a lot cheaper, really. The biggest cost I would have thought for the whole project are the batteries. Very luckily, these were second-hand batteries that I've tested all the capacities on them. They're actually really good for this project because each individual battery's got its own BMS in it, so you don't have to worry about it. They're replaceable, so if it did have a cell go wrong, I'll show you on top of here for the protection of it, if I can. Okay, so basically each one, try and get focused again, there we go. So each one of these inputs, slightly ran out of these, so those are just they're the wrong ones, but I will replace them with the right ones in. So they're only 15 amps, whereas 20 amps is what I thought, So yeah, so that's basically all it does, is it goes reverse through one of these fuse blocks. We've got all the negative bus connection here as well, through a main to 25mm cable between two, obviously 150 amp breaker, and then through an Anderson socket. So relatively straightforward. Just pop that back on. Anderson socket then just goes inside our control board. I have taken some pictures of the control board, so it's had a few modifications over the sort of the build, but that's pretty much all she is, really. I put a bit of foam on the battery box just because I didn't want the batteries to be knocking around. Certainly, this thing's going to be being a bit sort of rough and tumble sometimes, so just really wanted something which was a little bit protective for the cells. Yeah, I mean, some people might say, oh, they might get warm. Well, they might do, but when she's running full power, she's pulling about 40 amps, which is 4 amps per cell. It's nothing really for those 6.6 amp hour cells. They should be good for 15 amps, something like that. So they're all well within their capacity. Charging's pretty simple. You just disconnect the Anderson lead and plug in a 42 volt charger. That just gets on with it. 10 amp charger from flat. It's obviously going to take 6 hours, or 6.5 hours, something like that. So yeah, that's really all there is to it. Obviously the motors really do want to change. I mean, that one's still a little bit warm, but it gets very hot to the touch. As I say, they had another one smoke up. I'll hopefully get some pictures of that. The only other modification I've needed to do, not sure if you can quite see it, is this steel plate here. Before, the design of the deck was to blow all the grass clippings up into this cavity behind the mower in here, where I've put my motor. So I've had to just redirect it just so that hopefully it just comes straight out underneath here. There's no collection on this. I don't really collect this, and as you can tell, it's not exactly bad. There's a few clumps here and there, but that's inevitable, really. But majority of the lawn looks really quite fine. So yes, I was happy with my focus. There you go. So yeah, majority of the lawn is absolutely fine. You won't notice a bit of grass clippings, so it should be okay. So yeah, that's my mower project.